Opportunity. All right. So let me start sharing. Welcome to this webinar on smashing obstacles at scale and the tools of the game. All right. So let me start sharing. There is a echo. Can you hear me okay now? Wonderful. Yeah. So once again, welcome to this webinar. I hope you are able to hear me loud and clear now. Myself, Shijo Paul, I will be taking you through a few thoughts around obstacles and practically how do we get this managed, right? Now, this is probably a term that is familiar for all of us, so it does not really need any introductions. I would talk briefly about scaling aspect. In fact, one of the previous webinars I have done with Agilewaters was around Scrum at Scale, the introduction to that. If you look up at Agilewaters, the YouTube channel, you would see that recording as well. But I would briefly touch upon Scrum at Scale and general scaling in general, and then talk about how do we deal with obstacles at scale. And then the question of the tools. So that's our agenda going to be there for today. Starting with a deep dive into obstacles, what are some of the common obstacles, and then we look at scaling. We will not be very specific about Scrum at Scale, but generally like typical scaling, right? And then the practice. And in real life, how do we deal with it? It's all great stuff, but yeah, we have to figure out, right? And then I'm going to introduce a tool as well as part of this demo. So with that, what is an obstacle? That's a question which all of us totally understand. So I won't even have to really like ask this per se, but still, right? Anybody wants to share your thought? What is an obstacle? Yeah,
Anything which is not letting you pursue your goal, or
yes, wonderful definition. Thank you, Harsha, for sharing that. Yeah.
I would say something that is hindering progress.
Hindering progress.
Some
Again,
blocker.
sorry, Vivek, can you repeat that, please?
Some blocker.
Some blocker, absolutely, right? So this, of course, is like all of you are right about obstacles or impediments in a sense, right? So this is very clearly, yeah, there is a blocker, there is an impediment to the progress. Obvious, right? You cannot go forward. How about this? If any of you are from the same city that I live in, this might be a familiar sight. But is it that the progress is totally blocked? It is not, right? You can make progress, but what is the problem? It's just that it is slow, right? It hinders the progress, like Sid absolutely said. So what is an obstacle? Something that blocks you, definitely, right? But it need not necessarily block you. It can make things more difficult. The progress towards a goal more difficult. That is an impediment or an obstacle. Now, one of my mentors, he used to say that, you know, the hardest part of removing an obstacle is identifying the obstacle. Because we are so used to things sometimes. When I get onto the road, I'm so used to, I don't even look at this as a problem anymore, right? That's not just on the road, but in real life, in our office spaces, workspaces, all of that. Sometimes we feel like, yeah, that's how things always have been, right? So yeah, where is obstacle? I don't even see any obstacle. That could be one of our answers. Now, at times we might be thinking, oh, these kind of the big ones that is really blocking, those are the only ones that needs attention, but not really, right? Even the smaller ones. Um, it could be the smaller pebbles in our shoes that might hinder our progress more than the heavy backpacks. One of my mentors, Michael McNally, he used to say this actually. So that's very true, isn't it? We might be thinking, okay, these are the ones we need to address, but forget about the smaller ones. But that might be the one that probably can have a real impact on our team. So now talking about obstacles, we can just list down so many of them. Any thoughts anybody wants to share, or why don't you put it in chat as a one liner? What kind of common obstacles that you see around in your workplaces? Just one word, 2 words. Don't have to think too much, I hope. Communication gap, absolutely. Yeah, keep going. Lack of resources. Yep. What else? The non-obvious ones. So which are the non-obvious ones? Dependencies. Yeah. So especially when teams comes together, right? Multiple teams, one team got to wait for another team to deliver. That dependencies are one of the biggest obstacles when it comes to scaling. Lack of clarity, totally. Shared understanding of, yeah, there is no alignment. Like people go in different directions, right? Those that are hidden under the surface, absolutely HP. Um, so we can keep talking about tons of obstacles. Like all of us have seen, like dependencies are one of the most common ones. If you are in the software field, you have the broken builds, the automation, and a whole lot of them, right? Defined backlog, tools, or the lack of thereof, or over focus of that. Sometimes, some of this technical stuff like complex code, inaccurate test cases, poor APIs, all of that can be an obstacle. But as you look at it, right, it can be some weak design, lame architecture, and also interruptions, delays, waiting for, let's say, code reviews and test reviews and whatnot, right? Lack of resources, in the sense of like lack of, let's say, some if you're working in some hardware lab, you might not have sufficient, say, devices or some software licenses and so on, right? Or lack of team capacity. You may not have sufficient people or the skills, discipline. And as you look at some of the ones down, right? Lack of focus, skills, sometimes micromanagement, trust issues, culture, alignment, purpose. Some of this you have already mentioned, wonderful. These are just the short list. Of course, at your workplace, as you start looking at, hey, is this something that is really slowing me or my team down? Maybe the answer is yes. Sometimes we just overlook that. We think that, yeah, it's always been this way, right? And at times some of these are more visible, as some of you already said. The ones which are down, right, which are hidden, which are not that very difficult, that very easy to talk about, like trust issues, like culture, um, micromanagement, and so on, right? That becomes more difficult to deal with. But again, like you really have to look at your context to see what are really the obstacles which are slowing me or my team down. Yeah. Now we will switch slightly and talk about scaling, and we will talk about doing it in a lightweight manner. We don't want to bring in too much heavyweight process when we scale from one team, and we will specifically talk about a Scrum team because that is what is the most popular one. Not for any other reason. We are not going to get into which one we should talk about also, but let's just go with a Scrum team. And you have multiple, one good Scrum team, you have multiple Scrum teams coming together towards delivering a one single, say, product. And how do you work together? One of the ways that teams work together is they come together as a team of teams called a Scrum of Scrum. Some of you are familiar with this term. Some of you are already using Scrum at scale. So that's one of the lightweight scaling frameworks. Of course, there are multiple scaling frameworks out there. This is one of the scaling frameworks, right? Now there are two, of course, there's a lot more to this, but let me just briefly explain a few key aspects of Scrum at scale. You have this product owner cycle or the business leadership that helps the organization figure out what they should be working on. Yeah, that's a business side. And there is also this execution side, the executive action team in Scrum at scale terminology, or this executive leadership that helps teams go faster and better and helps the team transform, helps the organization transform day by day, sprint after sprint into a better organization. Yeah. Of course, you are familiar with daily Scrum. So you have this daily Scrum at a Scrum team level. And you also have a scaled daily Scrum. This is a lightweight event. It's not that, let's say, if there are 6 people in each of these 5 teams, it is not that all the 30 people come together for the scaled daily Scrum. At least one representative from each of this team come together for the scaled daily Scrum. There's a lot more to it, but at a very, very high level, that is our Scrum at scale. It's actually a 2 days course called Registered Scrum at Scale Practitioner, so which I have tried to explain to you in 2 minutes. I have not gone into any of the details. You can reach out to Agilewaters if you are interested to know more. They organize this Scrum at Scale workshops, 2 days workshops typically. Now, this is also from Dr. Jeff Sutherland, who is a co-creator of Scrum as well. So it's a natural extension of Scrum. Many things that you know about Scrum, you would be able to beautifully see that extending in Scrum at Scale framework. More details at Scrum at Scale, or you can refer to the previous webinar that we talked about. Look up in the Agilewaters YouTube channel, which I already posted today. So that's scaling. Now, that's wonderful, but how do we have this impediment removal at scale? You have one Scrum team, right? This one Scrum team, there is, let's say, if I am a team member in that, I am facing an impediment. I am bringing this impediment to my daily Scrum, which is what typically happens in many other cases. And now, what do we do with it? Maybe this impediment is really about a dependency that I have with some other team. Maybe they got to deliver something so that we can actually move forward. That's the impediment, right? So we are blocked. We cannot resolve it as a team. My teammates are like, yeah, we understand there is a problem, but yeah, we got to now take it forward, right? So that is where it goes to the Scrum of Scrum. There is a scaled daily Scrum at a Scrum of Scrum level. So after the daily Scrum of this Scrum team, this impediment is taken up in the scaled daily Scrum. Now, it could be possible that one of the teams within this Scrum of Scrum says, oh, you know what, like, yeah, we got it, right? We can help you with this. We understand how to take care of it. So they take this up and work offline and helps this team move forward. Beautiful, right? So that's a power of this scale daily Scrums, where you are really having this entire organization of, say, these 5 teams that previously we talked about, or within this Scrum of Scrum, help out this one team. It's not that they know everything this team is doing, just this impediment, and there is another team that happened to know about like how to take care of it, right? But it could so happen that maybe this team, none of the teams within this Scrum or Scrum couldn't help. Then what does happen to our impediment? So that is where this executive leadership team, in Scrum at Scale terminology, it's the executive action team. they take up this impediment. It comes to their backlog, and we really want this team to be an empowered team who can push through whatever is the challenge that the team is facing. If there is a budget that is needed to help team get some additional license or more people, more training for skills or whatever is needed, right? This team should be able to help with. That is a good executive leadership team or executive action team. Now, if the answer to many of the obstacles are, oh, okay, we cannot help you, right? Maybe we don't have the right set of people in this executive leadership team. So we really want this leadership to be able to help the team. Maybe this impediment has to be taken with some other teams or some other business units within this wider organization. And this set of teams may not be able to do that. Or it needs some policy changes, or it needs some big budget approvals. Any of that, if the team needs and it's a genuine obstacle, this team works on it and gets things done. Yeah. Any questions so far? Okay, all pretty straightforward stuff. There is no ambiguity in any of that. Now, the practical implementation, many organizations, what they do is they have this, each team has clarity on their impediments. At some part of their Scrum board or Kanban board, they have their impediments also listed, the team impediment boards. So if you have like 10 teams, they have, each of them have their impediment boards. And then as teams comes together, right, they do have, say, let's say, in this case happens to be products, right? So you have multiple products within this organization, and then you have product impediment boards. And an impediment gets escalated to the product, the next level board, as soon as the team realizes that we cannot do anything about it without taking help from somebody else outside our team, right? So that is where it goes to the next level board. But also, as a good practice, you could push it to the next level board if an impediment is just sitting there without it getting resolved for, let's say, 2 days, 48 hours. It's a good practice. Why? Because that helps give some traction. There's some urgency to resolve impediments. Otherwise, I'm sure you would have seen impediments just sitting there for a very long time. Yeah. Now, if this set of boards having this impediment for, let's say, another 2 days, and nobody from this leadership couldn't help resolve this, or from this wider teams could help resolve this, it again goes to the next level board. Of course, if there is something which directly needs this executive leadership board's attention, it can directly jump in there, right? It's not a process that we introduce to slow things down, but the whole idea is that we speed things up, right? So common sense applies. These are things that you would want to consider putting it as a practice. These are not rules, just to reiterate, good practices, right? Now, I have a question for you. What if you are coaching one of this team? You might be a Scrum Master, Agile coach, some of you already are, and there are no impediments. Sprint after sprint, you're seeing, yeah, any impediments? No. What could be the reason? What could be your response there? Any thoughts?
The team is not raising it.
Yeah, team is saying, yeah, there are no impediments. What could be the reason for it? Asha?
They feel that they can resolve it by themselves and keeping it to themselves and not bringing it up, not surfacing it. Could be a reason.
Very, very well. And yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Absolutely. Anybody else? There could be a number of reasons, right? I'm sure something is going through all of our minds right now. What could be those reasons?
It could be psychological safety.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. Hey, what will happen if I raise this obstacle? Will somebody take it as, hey, why did you raise an obstacle against me? I have seen some people actually taking it that way. But yeah, this is not against anybody. If there is an obstacle that, yeah, there is the product backlog, items are not very clear, it is not against, say, a product owner, right? It is just that the team needs help there. That is what they are talking about. It's a great opportunity for the leadership to actually help out the team. The rest of the organization to look at, oh, how can we help this team? That is an obstacle. So you have to look at like why there is this lack of obstacles or kind of resistance to talk about obstacles sometimes. Maybe they raised in the past and they figured out that okay, nothing happens anyways. It just stays in our board. So what's a big deal? We will not even talk about it, right? It could be any reason. Yeah. Wonderful. But how do we manage these obstacles? How do you all typically manage the obstacles? Is there a practice that you have? Is there a tool that you use?
We just use somewhere in some of my teams and concept board we use, or some of the Kanban board sometimes, that whatever
Okay.
impediment comes, if it cannot be solved right then and there, then we just put it there. So it's a common access to all the team members. Sometimes we also use Confluence for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. Physical boards, I'm sure all of us had this probably before the COVID times, but maybe not really now, isn't it? It was great. If you are still meeting on in office and you're co-located, probably, yeah. Many teams I have seen using Excel sheets to track it, some using Confluence, like we just said, some using Jira, Rally, and whatever tools they have. So these are all like different options people have tried out. Anything that you have seen working, not working in some of these?
Excel's generally they have a lot of data, and then sometimes it becomes stale.
Yeah.
Just cannot move things around. That doesn't really give an experience to people. So we have moved away from Excel sheets.
Yeah. Yeah, stale data, stale information, and you sometimes you keep it so safe in some Confluence page out there that nobody looks at it afterwards, right? So you don't want such things to happen to obstacles, and that is probably when, like earlier we were talking about, when the teams were like, oh, okay, yeah, obstacles, don't bother about it, right? No, that's not where we want our teams to get to, and that is where some of us were actually working on this tool called Stackito, primarily to address this one specific concern that we have seen, that there has to be a better way of dealing with obstacles. It has to be bringing in transparency for obstacles, and as an organization, you should be more efficient in dealing with this, right? So that's where this demo is going to focus on from now on. Let me just switch to our homepage. So this is Stackito. If you go on to stackito.com, you can sign in, register here. Here you will have to sign up if you are using this for the very first time. You could sign in with your Google account. So in this case, I'm going to use some of the accounts which we do have. In fact, there is something which is called an organization that you will have to create. I'm going to use the idea of Lisa, who is part of one particular organization which I'm going to introduce to you in a minute, so you can sign in like this, and this is the landing page where you get to see some dashboard about the new open, resolve, my obstacles, all of that, and the list of obstacles. For Lisa, she's part of Saturn Robotics. That's her organization. Now she's also part of Jupiter Drones. So you can have more than one organization that you are part of. Maybe these are multiple business units within the same company that you are working for, or this could be totally different organization. And for most of you, I assume you may not have your organization listed when you try to log in. So what you can do is you can click on this menu and request for a new one, your new organization, and you get into this page. Put in your organization name and a short description as to what you guys are up to, and click on submit. The Stackito team will be looking into that and will be getting back to you soon with an organization. Yeah. So in this case, Lisa Mitchell is a power user of this because she is an administrator. In fact, she is one of the members of this executive leadership per se. If you look at the users, you get to see the list of users because you have logged in as Lisa, and so Lisa Mitchell is an admin, right? So she gets to see all these users and the team. So let me just switch back to this page to help you understand a little bit more about the Saturn Robotics, and then I will bring you back there, right? Saturn Robotics have multiple teams, and interestingly, the team names are all do you recognize what are these team names? Grape, Trimer, Hattie, all of that. It's got some connection with Saturn. Yeah, the moons of Saturn. All right, and so these three teams come together and they do have this Scrum of Scrum. Likewise, there is another 4 teams. They do have this one more Scrum of Scrum, and together they have what is called a Scrum of Scrum of Scrum. It's a team of teams. They're all part of the software division, the IT of Saturn Robotics, and they do have some mechanical division with 3 teams there, and an electrical engineering division with another 3 teams there. They do have a business leadership, and they do have an executive leadership, the same things that we talked about. And this is where Lisa is part of. So I hope now you understand the big picture of this, right? Now we are going to look at this one particular team, Grape, and we have a team member, Gloria McCoy, who is part of that. And along with Gloria, we have Jason Zimmerman, who is also part of this Grape. And let me also introduce to you one more person who is part of this Tarvos organization. As part of Trimer team, we have Efren. So why all these people? So let me just now switch back here and help you. Yeah, this is the team's view. So we have IT and you have the child teams. We have seen Tarvos and you have Grape and Trimer, all of that, right? So these are the teams. So let me now log out and log in as Gloria McCoy, and because you know what, Gloria is actually facing an impediment, and she's actually talking about this in the daily Scrum. So these are the data that you can look at. If you want to look at the details of any of these impediments, you can just click on that. It provides you the title, the parts availability of real-time sensor is a challenge, the description, the team that is facing, the team that is handling it, whom it was assigned to, what's status. If there's any notes, you get to see that. So you get all this information back there. Coming back, if you want to add a new obstacle, you can just click on the add button and it comes here. So this is where I want to just give you a very short demo. Let me just put in some random stuff, and you want to select the team, right? So you got to select the team. In this case, we have Gloria, who has visibility only for Grape. She is this member of this, so got to put this team there. Now, if you know which team could possibly handle it, in our case, we have Jason, who is volunteering in the daily Scrum and saying, oh, you know what, I can do this, right? So we have the same team, Jason. So Jason Zimmerman says, okay, I got it. And so Gloria goes ahead and saves this. Now, what I would also, yeah, of course, Gloria would get a notification that, yeah, there is a new obstacle that has been raised by you. And similarly, Jason also gets a notification that, oh, you know what, a new obstacle has been assigned to you. So let's now look at it from Jason's perspective. So Jason gets this notification, and Jason could either click on the link and open the obstacle from there, but since we are doing this on the same machine, right, so maybe we could look at this and, oh, okay, so something is there, right? Sample obstacle as part of this demo, and this is what it is. And Jason looks at this, and let's say if Jason was not in the daily Scrum or it was assigned offline, Jason can put a note saying that, oh, okay, all right, I got it, yeah, and add a note. It gets added with the timestamp. Next time anybody has to review it, you can do that. And let's say in this case, Jason decides to work on it, but slowly figures out that, you know what, I can't help with this particular obstacle. It got to move to somebody else. And maybe that is where, in this case, Jason may not be able to select this, and it has to go to the next level person, right? So that is where you will have to have this discussion in the next level. So in our case, the next level happens to be for somebody at, let's say, Lisa will be able to help out with. So now we are going to go and log in as Lisa and help this assign to someone else who can probably help with this obstacle. So what happens in this case, we do have this obstacle that's we just raised it, and we are going to edit it. Let's say if Lisa or somebody who has access, Lisa of course can add different people, and this is where you can select the team. So you can go to IT, and under that Tarvos, and of course we have this team where we have who is part of this. We have Efren. Efren is going to work on this one, right? So this is probably in progress or assigned state by now. And if you want to put an ETA, you can do that, all of that, right? And it goes to the next level if you want to add nodes. So this is how easily obstacles can be handled until it gets resolved. Now I would probably log in as a friend, and then I can say, okay, I can work on this and then put an ETA, and at a later point of time, Efren can probably move this obstacle to done as well. Or if Efren wants, let's say, yeah, if there is no way Efren can actually work on this, probably Efren can look for, oh, you know what, this cannot be done by this team, but it has to, you can, by the way, search for a team as well. That's another way to look for the team. For example, if you want to search for grape, you can just search for this, and it selects it, right? So these are the ways which within an organization, in this case, okay, did we save the obstacle here? No, maybe not it. Right, so Efren would get notified that, yeah, this now is assigned. Okay, Lisa has assigned this to you. So you can click on here, open that. So within an organization, you're providing clarity that it is not just somebody has raised an obstacle and nobody knows what happened to it, right? If I am a team member, I can always come here and look at, okay, what are the open obstacles? And what are the ones which we have been talking about? What's the progress? You look at this and you get to see the real-time progress. Who is working on it? What is the last update? All of that information is there. And this also brings in clarity as to who raised it, which is team facing it, who is working on it, and what's the age. Some obstacles can just sit there, right? To the extent that people almost lose trust on obstacles. You don't want that to happen. So you got to look at the age. These are good metrics that your organization probably might want to look at as to how is this obstacle practice for us. Is it efficient? Is it really helping our teams? So with that, let me just stop and then do you have any comments, any questions, any thoughts about using this? Anybody wants to try this out? You can of course reach out to us. In fact, if you look at Stackito.com, you would also see the pricing information as a launch offer. We are looking at getting some of these earlier accounts to start with free of cost. So you may not really have to bother about this at this point of time. But yeah, any further questions, you can always reach out to info@stackito.com and we should be able to get back to you. But any comments, any thoughts?
So for an example, if I want to use it in my own organization, so how about the data security, or because we might put in some details which are very specific to our own organization. So any specifics on that, please?
Yes, so the data security aspect, you will have, again, we right now have the login credentials starting with, right? If you want to have the login credentials also restricted for your organizations, we can definitely work on things like that. And this is something which you would be having your own kind of secure data which is not going to be shared with another organization.
Okay. Are you around? Hello? Can't hear you. Shizo, can't hear you.
I think Shijo is frozen.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I think the audio got lost there. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just saying that in this case, Lisa would be the only one who would be able to say manage the users, add the users as to who should be having access to this. Yeah. Okay, looks like I'm back here. All right, if there are no other questions, sorry, there was some other audio issue. Was there any other questions? Sir, Sid, did you ask anything? I might have
No.
missed
I
out.
was waiting for other people. We have a
Okay,
we have somebody from a different region altogether this time. Eva.
Okay.
Eva, are you there? Eva's on mute.
Yeah, she's on mute.
Eva, can you hear us? I was wondering if she had any questions because I think she joined for the first time.
Okay, that's so considerate of you. Say thank you.
So I
All right.
heard
So
that
see,
some of the organization have made their own tools also, like on the similar grounds, I believe, because I heard of Shijo, where you
yes.
worked with Cisco before, and Cisco, I heard that they have something of their own.
Yeah, so there are a lot of organizations who have tried to have their own set of tooling around this, right?
Yeah.
That is where we thought it's much more efficient to have something like this, which is a common tool, which can be used by anyone. In fact, today's world, why would you not have something like this, right?
Definitely.
Isn't it even a bit surprising that we don't have one single good answer to this question? Hey, how are you managing your team's obstacles today?
Yeah. So as on today, how do we manage? I mean, every day we have daily scrums. So we have a board wherein we discuss about daily things, and then we have red color stickies, which are generally floated around on that board. So red color stickies tells us the impediments, and we discuss every day. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So many teams are able to do this beautifully at a team level, but when it comes to scale and when it comes to scale across continents, right, that is where it gets a little bit sticky as to, okay, will my sticky stay with my own board, or will it have visibility where it should really have, right?
Yeah, I think the question should be how are other people managing it? Sid with his own experience, Swati, Harsha, Eva, Jaskirat.
HP says I have seen many teams using ADO raid workouts type for obstacles and impediments. Okay, good to work item types. Yeah.
Now, the tool you showed is different. I mean, obviously, loads of people are using the traditional, what has been popular. So it's obviously things like ADO, Azure DevOps, and recently, a lot of people are using Miro. It's also there, and which has, I think this is what you have shown is more useful, really.
Yeah, automated
and
as a collaborative tool.
Yes.
Yeah, see, they're absolutely right. So Miro, Mural, all of that is great tools, absolutely. But again, where they lack, in fact, I'm coaching some organizations that absolutely use some of these tools. But where the challenge comes is precisely, where you have to get this transparency across the organization for the obstacle one team is facing, and how efficiently they are able to seek for help and get the right help. And having some of these metrics data points, like how old is this obstacle, how is our trend of resolving obstacle, is it in few days or is it in few weeks for that matter, right? That's where the leadership should be really focusing on to help out the teams.
Yes, I think HP also said something on the chat. Said I have seen many teams using ADO, RAID workouts type of
work item types. Yeah.
I didn't get that ADO and RAID.
Yeah, I have not been familiar with that, but that also looks like another tool for it.
HP, can you tell us about it? If we can unmute. Some teams also used swim lanes. Yeah, okay. On the
in the Kanban board, yeah.
Yes.
Why everybody is silent? What about Harsha? What about Eva? What about Jaskirat?
Today is a silent day or something like that.
Yes, we are listening.
Yeah, if you have
this is supposed to be participative. Right? You don't just listen.
Yeah.
So please speak up.
They have
obstacles. If you have questions.
They have obstacles speaking out. Incredible.
Could you please repeat the question?
Now, the question was really about like, what are your experiences? Do you use any tools for dealing with the impediments that your teams are facing?
How do we
No,
manage?
we have the impediment tracker, just a Kanban board created in Jira, that's all. But that is also rarely getting used because mostly the obstacles become high priority and they get resolved, or otherwise they get converted into risks. Actually, we have RAID log, like risk, issues, actions, and decisions, so that it gets converted into one of those items and then that gets tracked at stakeholders level.
Oh, okay. So whatever HP has written, that is RAID is risk, issues, actions,
Risk
and
assumption.
D stands
Risk
for
assumption, issue, and dependency.
Decisions.
decisions. Okay.
Yes, good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, HP. And
Thank you. All right. So as we are nearing time, right? So if you have any questions around this, feel free to reach out, info@stackito.com. The team would be more than happy to address that.
Absolutely.
With that, thank you so much, Vijay and Agilewaters, for hosting this event. I really appreciate the participation from all of you. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us on behalf of Agilewaters and Stackito. Have a good evening to day, and hope to be in touch. Look forward to hearing from you.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining in today, everyone. And then there is one very important session coming up. That is one of the lady who is actually the only third person in the world to take a session called as psychological safety. And she is a PhD in psychological safety. So she's going to speak very soon on coming Saturdays. So please join us. That would be a great opportunity. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and please join our subscribe our YouTube channel and get access to all the recordings. Thank you, Shizo. Thank you so much. Shizo, you can also drop your contact if you want in chat so that people can contact you.
Yeah, I'll do that right now. So it was there in the slide, anyways. So let me just put it here. So yeah, hope to be in touch with all of you.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. See you same time, same location every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. IST. See ya. Bye-bye till then.
Bye.